Hello and welcome to ILTV Israel Daily. I'm Erin Molan. Great to see you. I didn't need to come to Israel in person to believe, to see evidence firsthand of the unthinkable atrocities committed on October 7, to hear firsthand what survivors were forced to endure, to feel firsthand the ground shake as bombs explode nearby, to convince myself that I'm on the right side of history. I already know that. But I'm so glad that I came, because even in my pre-existing state of unwavering conviction, I underestimated the level of depravity, the extent of the evil that occurred, the calibre of enemy that surrounds this tiny democratic nation fighting desperately for its life. I'd read and I'd seen and I'd heard, but I could not comprehend fully until now. I stood inside the room where three beautiful little children, two my daughter's age, watched their parents being murdered before suffocating and burning to death themselves. I walked where thousands of innocent young people ran for their lives at a music festival devoted to peace. I watched the raw vision from October 7, all of it. And it was from their body cams, it was from phones, it was from security cameras. A dad desperately trying to save his two young boys, one under his arm, the other running ahead, sprinting away from terrorists before being killed in front of their eyes. Then I witnessed their shock, their fear, their trauma, shaking, just shaking, crying, shaking, whilst the killers went through their fridge casually like nothing had happened. I watched the sadistic beheading of a young Israeli man, hacking again and again and again. I stepped onto the porch where two babies were kidnapped and still to this day remain in Gaza. Their toys are still lying untouched for hundreds of days. But do you know what cripples me more than anything that I've just said? And that's hard. What scares me more than anything, it's not actually what they did. It was their reaction to it in real time. That's what I can't comprehend. I'm trying to process it. I cannot, no matter how hard I try. The glee, the joy, the pure elation at what they were doing. They watched children burn, and they smiled and they laughed. They laughed and they cheered when an innocent teenage girl was shot in the back. They shot her. Their actions on that day were evil personified, but their reactions to them were even worse. The enemy of Israel, the Jewish people, and let's be frank, all of us who believe in life and freedom and peace, they can't be human, these people. It's not possible. You cannot coexist ever with the people I watched carry out October 7. None of us can. And unless we figure that out as a world, and quickly, my gosh, we need to do it quickly, then it's only a matter of time before we see October 7 over and over again. But next time, it will be in our own backyard.
And thank you to the incredible Erin Molan for the exclusive monologue. She has been an outspoken advocate for Israel and the Jewish people around the world since October 7th, and we are honored to have her on our show and support her voice. And now for the news of the day. Standing amid an assembly of captured Hezbollah weapons, Prime Minister Netanyahu made it clear that the Houthis in Yemen were next in line for Israeli destruction. The Prime Minister also made clear that Israel and the U.S.-led allies were fighting the same war that threatened world order. More from ILTV's Steve Leibovitz.
Prime Minister Netanyahu convened his security cabinet at the Northern Command headquarters in Tzfat. The ministers viewed weapons confiscated from Hezbollah during the ground operations in South Lebanon. After destroying most of the military capabilities of Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon, Netanyahu said that Israel would continue the attacks on Yemen, who he accused of threatening the world order. Netanyahu indicated that there was coordination between Israel and the US-led allied attacks in Yemen.
כפי שפעלנו בעוצמה נגד זרועות הטרור של ציר הרשע של איראן, כך נפעל נגד החות'ים. רק שבמקרה הזה אנחנו לא פועלים לבד. ארצות הברית וגם מדינות אחרות רואות כמונו את החות'ים כאיום לא רק על השייט הבינלאומי, על הסדר הבינלאומי. ולכן אנחנו נפעל בעוצמה, בנחישות ובתחכום. ואני אומר לכם שגם אם זה ייקח זמן, התוצאה תהיה אותה תוצאה. אותה תוצאה כמו מול זרועות הטרור האחרות.
The Houthi rebels have fired missiles into central Israel in recent days, forcing millions to shelter while causing damages and injuries. Israel has responded with waves of airstrikes 2,000 kilometers away, targeting Houthi military and economic targets. The U.S. yesterday staged major strikes on the Houthi capital in Sana'a, yet the Houthis continue firing. Netanyahu said it would take some time to eliminate the Houthi threat and called on the Israeli public to remain vigilant. Meanwhile, the Iranians are suddenly trying to distance themselves from the actions of the Houthis. Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei denied that the Islamic Republic uses proxies, and Iran, it said, can strike Israel directly if and when it chooses. Many military analysts in Israel are asking whether Israel's next long-range target should be the Houthis again or the head of the snake in Iran.
And new details have emerged on the daring Mossad beeper attack on Hezbollah that was over a decade in the making. All the details in the following report. Two former Mossad agents who spearheaded the operation with their identities hidden revealed new details on the pager plot in an in-depth interview on CBS's 60 Minutes. The operation, which began over a decade ago and was executed on September 17th of this year, involved selling the Hezbollah terrorist organization thousands of booby-trapped pagers, which the Mossad later detonated, neutralizing thousands of the terror organization's operatives.
The operation started 10 years ago, not with pagers, but with weaponizing walkie-talkies.
A walkie-talkie was a weapon, just like a bullet or a missile or a mortar.
So a walkie-talkie bomb.
A walkie-talkie bomb. Inside the battery, there is an explosive device.
And that was the invention, to put an explosive device that couldn't be detected into the battery.
Correct. Made in Israel.
At Mossad?
Yes.
Michael also detailed how Israel was able to sell over 16,000 walkie-talkies to Hezbollah.
We have an incredible array of possibilities of creating foreign companies that have no way being traced back to Israel. Shell companies over shell companies who affect the supply chain to our favor. We create a pretend world. We are a global production company. We write the screenplay. We're the directors, we're the producers, we're the main actors, and the world is our stage.
After the success of selling the walkie-talkies to Hezbollah in 2022, the Mossad pivoted to pagers. It was looking for a device that Hezbollah operatives would carry on themselves at all times, and conducted multiple tests to ensure the precise amount of explosives needed.
If we push the button, the only one that will get injured is the terrorist himself.
But due to the explosives, the pagers were bigger and bulkier. So how did the Mossad convince Hezbollah to buy them?
We make advertising movies and brochures, and we put it on the internet, and it became the best product in the beeper area in the world.
So attractive that other customers also wanted the product. Mossad also created a fake company to work together with Taiwanese company Gold Apollo that was unaware they were working with the Mossad. By September 2024, Hezbollah had 5,000 pagers in their pockets. On September 17th, the pagers were detonated, and on September 18th, the walkie-talkies exploded, causing absolute chaos in the terror organization.
The aim, it wasn't killing Hezbollah terrorist. If he just dead, so he's dead. But if he wounded, you have to take him to the hospital, take care of him. You need to invest money in efforts. And those people without hands and eyes are living proof, walking in Lebanon, of don't mess with us. They are walking proof of our superiority all around the Middle East.
An incredible operation. And one by one, the Islamic Republic of Iran's terror proxies are falling like dominoes. Today, the Iranian-backed Iraqi militias have reportedly announced they will stop their offensive against Israel. This according to a report in the pro-Hezbollah Lebanese newspaper Al-Akhbar. Iraqi militias, part of the so-called Axis of Resistance, have launched multiple attack drones against Israel since the start of the war in October 2023. But now, after seeing the events unfolding in Lebanon and in Syria, one militia leader told the paper that the groups have come to an agreement with the current Iraqi government to end their attacks on Israel and also to avoid any confrontation in Syria. Yet another blow to the Iranian regime. And joining us now to discuss is Executive Director of Sharaka and Middle East Affairs Analyst Dan Fefferman. Dan, thank you so much for joining.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
So I want to start with the Houthis. You know, after they launched ballistic missiles at Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu is today saying that Israel will deal with them just like it's dealt with the other terror proxies in the region. Only this time it will be with an international coalition by his side. So are the attacks against the Houthis until now being done in coordination with the U.S. and other allies?
Yeah, they are. And dealing with this threat of the Houthi rebels, the Houthi terrorist organization in Yemen, in a coordinated manner, in a coalition aspect with the Americans, with the other NATO allies, and bringing the moderate Sunni actors in the Gulf on board is the only way to deal with them. They've been a threat to regional stability for a number of years now. Since they came on the scene, they've fired multiple and very sophisticated ballistic and cruise missile attacks at Riyadh, at major oil facilities, at Abu Dhabi a couple of years ago. They fired over 400 missiles and drone strikes at Israel, primarily at the Tel Aviv area. And they've also severely interrupted international shipping going through the Red Sea. They've halted Suez Canal shipping by over 60% in the last year. So this is not just a threat to Israel. This is a threat to regional stability. This is a threat to international stability. And so it's a threat that must be dealt with in an international coalition manner.
Mm-hmm. And so what are the Houthis' capabilities today, and sort of what are the, the main targets that Israel and the coalition would need to strike in order to eliminate this threat?
Sure. So we're talking, of course, about a rebel group that has seized control and dominates much of Yemen's territory and is increasingly backed by Iran. Now we're talking about an organization that has somewhere around 20,000 fighters. This is an organization that began, of course, much smaller and weaker. And over the years, with Iranian backing, it has, and Russian arms also, it has achieved a not insignificant capability as far as its drone capabilities, its cruise missiles, its ballistic missiles, and its maritime ability to disrupt shipping lines or to even attack U.S. and other international naval vessels near the coast of Yemen. So, it's significant enough that it must be dealt with, and its capabilities keep growing from year to year, so long as they're allowed to grow.
Mm-hmm. And, we also heard the report today that Iraqi militias are ending their attacks against Israel. Is this another significant blow to Iran's war against Israel?
Absolutely. And what we see happening before our eyes is a significant blow. It's a falling apart of this vaunted axis of resistance that Iran has spent billions and billions of dollars building over the last decade around the region. So you see the Shia proxies of Iran in Iraq announce that they are going to abide by the ceasefire. Their official excuse is, of course, that they are in line with Hezbollah. And so because Hezbollah signed a ceasefire with Israel, they're going to be in line with it. But you also see another interesting development in Iraq, and that is the Sunni tribes, the Sunni Arab tribes have even come so far as to announce that they are interested in seeking peace with Israel, more or less joining the Abraham Accords. And these are both clear signs, if we know of any one certain thing in the Middle East, is that most of the actors will go with whoever side they deem is the strongest. And so when Iran was giving off the appearance that it was on the ascendant, that it was the stronger party, that it was taking the initiative, you had more and more of these actors on the fence siding with it. And now you see the exact opposite happening. And that is a direct credit to Israel standing strong in the face of first Hezbollah, essentially taking out Iran's biggest proxy in the region, weakening Iran's air defense systems and a lot of its ballistic systems, and helping together with U.S. and Western sanctions to bankrupt Iran. Iran is incredibly weak right now, and everyone around the region is smelling the blood in the water, so to speak.
So smelling the blood in the waters, the terror proxies are falling one by one, the Houthis clearly next in line. And what about the head of the snake? What about Iran?
This is indeed, the emperor has shown that he has no clothes. Iran has proven itself to be a paper tiger. And so this is the time to press, whether it's continued economic pressure, diplomatic pressure, and of course, military pressure. This is really the time to press on Iran and show the entire region just how much of a paper tiger this regime is.
All right, well, Dan Fefferman, thank you so much for your analysis today.
Thanks for having me.
And an Israeli official has confirmed that working groups are intensively continuing efforts in Doha to hammer out a hostage deal in Gaza. There are conflicting reports on how close the sides are to an agreement. This as top officials in the incoming Trump administration tells Hamas to free the hostages or face dire consequences. More from ILTV's Debo Klein.
According to an Israeli official quoted in the Times of Israel, Hamas has provided signs of life for several hostages held in Gaza. The official would not say whether Hamas provided a list of living hostages, but indicated that Israel knows the current condition of most of the hostages. It is clear that if a deal does come together, it will be in phases. Israel is reportedly asking for the release of 34 hostages in the first phase, including 11 men who are of military age. According to the report, the deal would see 20 Palestinian security prisoners released in exchange for every female soldier. The official emphasized that Israel will not accept an end to the war as part of a deal, but instead will agree to something along the lines of a prolonged ceasefire. And meanwhile, Congressman Mike Waltz, the incoming national security advisor in the Trump administration, gave this warning to Hamas on the Ben Shapiro show.
There has never been enough consequences, and that's what we need to be talking about with these people. You take an American, you illegally detain them. If you're a nation state or if you're a terrorist, you hold them hostage. There is going to be all hell to pay. There are going to be nothing but consequences for you financially, and maybe even a bullet in your damn forehead if you take an American, period.
Powerful words. And now, ILTV and Ynet News are excited to invite you to our upcoming Lights of Hope virtual event on December 30th. This special end-of-year celebration marks the convergence of Hanukkah and New Year's, spotlighting 8 pillars of innovation, resilience, and renewal that will inspire Israel and the Jewish world in the year ahead. The event will feature ministers Amichai Shikli and Ophir Sofer, along with 8 dynamic panels focusing on key areas of hope, including security, sustainability, education, and more. Scan the QR code to register and stay updated. Wishing you a happy Hanukkah and a joyous New Year. And Israel's wars continue on multiple fronts, with the 60-day Lebanon ceasefire counting down. The defense minister is sending a warning to Hezbollah to move its forces north of the Litani. ILTV's Steve Leibovitz reports.
Visiting IDF troops in Lebanon, Defense Minister Katz sent a warning to Hezbollah that it must abide by the ceasefire agreement and complete its retreat beyond the Litani River in South Lebanon, or else. Katz said that Israel will not hesitate to act and will crush any Hezbollah operatives that remain south of the Litani. Using colorful language, the defense minister said, "We have extracted the snake's fangs, and if Hezbollah does not retreat beyond the Litani and tries to violate the ceasefire, we will crush its head." Meanwhile, troops continue to work degrading Hezbollah assets on the ground, and forces located and destroyed a residential complex with military warehouses. The 8 warehouses were connected above and below ground, and many weapons, including stocks of anti-tank missiles, were located. It's day 444 of the war in Gaza. The IDF continues operating in Beit Lahia in northern Gaza. Ground forces from the Kfir Brigade eliminated gunmen and destroyed terrorist infrastructure both above and below ground. There were also reports of airstrikes on terrorist targets in Khan Yunis that were using humanitarian designated areas as human shields against attack. The gunmen were taken out with precise strikes designed to avoid civilian casualties. And ongoing anti-terror operations are continuing in Judea and Samaria. Central Command forces located and confiscated weapons, cartridges, and other military equipment from terrorists in Tulkarem in Samaria and Samua in Judea.
And our final story tonight. This month, Los Angeles hosted Medex LA, an event aimed at recruiting Jewish doctors and helping them integrate into Israel's healthcare workforce, strengthening Israel's medical future. Let's take a look.
In Los Angeles, a groundbreaking event aimed at strengthening Israel's healthcare system took place. Medex LA, the first of its kind on the U.S. West Coast, brought together dozens of Jewish doctors considering making Aliyah, the move to Israel, to help address a critical shortage of medical professionals in the country.
We're super excited to help anyone who's in the medical professional world, especially doctors. We're incredibly humbled to have all these great people come to join us in Israel.
This initiative is part of a national drive led by Nefesh B'Nefesh in collaboration with the Israeli Ministry of Aliyah and Integration, the Ministry of Health, and the Jewish Agency for Israel. Nefesh B'Nefesh's mission is to streamline the Aliyah process and ensure that Jewish doctors can seamlessly join Israel's medical workforce.
The whole purpose of this great venture is to help physicians from all over the world to make Aliyah, to help them with the licensing process and the specialty recognition and the Hebrew.
Since its founding in 2002, Nefesh B'Nefesh has helped over 80,000 North American Jews make Aliyah, achieving a remarkable 90% retention rate. Their comprehensive services cover everything from licensing assistance to allocation grants, making the transition as smooth as possible. At Medex LA, representatives from leading hospitals conduct real-time interviews offering employment opportunities to attendees. Nefesh B'Nefesh's personalized approach ensures doctors receive guidance tailored to their needs, particularly for those relocating to Israel's underserved regions.
This event gives them the ability to get their specialty recognized, but also how they're going to apply that specific talent to the hospital in Israel, and even speak to the person that might be their supervisor or teammate there.
Alongside Medex, an Aliyah fair organized by Nefesh B'Nefesh drew over 300 potential immigrants seeking information on life in Israel. From workshops on benefits and employment to on-site fingerprinting services, attendees had access to everything they needed to take the next step.
Medex event offered me the opportunity to do that, kind of one-stop shop, and it's been amazing so far today. We're hoping that this will help make the transition and kind of the job search as we make the big leap to Israel more easy.
Medex LA is more than just a job fair. It's a bridge for medical professionals to join Israel's future, connecting Jewish talent with a country in need. For many attendees, Medex LA marked the beginning of a new chapter in Israel, a journey of healing, resilience, and Aliyah.
In France, in London, Argentina, and now to go to the West Coast. The first time that we went to the West Coast in the U.S. to have Medex is awesome. We're expanding, we're reaching many, hundreds and hundreds of physicians who are interested in making Aliyah.
Moving to Israel marks the beginning of a new chapter, and Pitaro Hecht helps you make it truly yours. Transform your home with interiors that blend style, comfort, and timeless design, from luxurious living spaces to thoughtful details. With high-quality craftsmanship at great value, we create spaces where memories are made. For your new life in Israel, choose Pitaro Hecht, where your home begins.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. Partly cloudy skies are expected tonight around the country, with temperatures reaching lows of around 9 degrees Celsius or 49 degrees Fahrenheit. Then tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies and a bit of rain is expected in the north, while southern Israel should see sunny skies and highs of 18 degrees Celsius or 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channel, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, ILTV.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Ladarga Velazi. Be well, stay safe, and thank you so much for watching.